Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Boropolis Podcast. We're back for the third episode. I'm joined with Nathan, as always. Nathan, how are we doing?
Brilliant, Chris. Thank you very much. Still in Portugal. Missed the game yesterday at home to Bristol City, the first home game, but I shall be back. She'll be back for QPR on Wednesday.
Yeah, still living it up as a superstar out in Portugal. The second episode's gone even more to your head and you've extended the break.
Yeah, second episode. I'm just a superstar at this point. What can I say?
Well, I think we're going to have to start paying you a wage or something. You know, the stardom's gone to your head and before we know it, we'll have Sky Sports or someone coming in for you. So, yeah, we'll have to try and negotiate a deal. So on to yesterday. We're recording this on Sunday night. As you say, unfortunately, you were in Portugal, but you did watch the match. I was there. What an occasion. What a brilliant day for Middlesbrough fans. Obviously, we'll speak about the game first. Team lineups, when that team was released. Duncan Watmore and Tavernier not in the squad. It was a little bit of a shock. It's not ideal at this stage, but when you saw that lineup, what were your first thoughts?
Again, Tavernier and Watmore do provide a lot of our attacking potential, really, don't they? So them being completely left out of the squad, you look at it and think, well, especially considering me and you last week on the podcast were talking about taking the game to Bristol City, getting at them. We need runners that are able to carry the ball. Watmore and Tavernier are probably two of our better players at that. Those two being left out kind of leaves a large hole. But going into the game and looking at the team lineup, Jones, obviously last week, we saw his potential. He's raw, of course, with only making his first appearance for the club last week and his full debut yesterday. But he stepped up to the mark again. Fantastic.
Yeah, as you say, it was a case of, I think Warnock said in his post-match conference yesterday that sometimes a manager needs a little bit of luck, and that was certainly the case with Isaiah Jones yesterday. You know, the injuries to Watmore and Tavernier have freed up the space on that wing, and he certainly took his chance. Now, just quickly, before we really go into the Bristol game, just something that's cropped in my head now. Isaiah Jones was one of the people that got some minutes at Blackpool during the week. I don't want to talk about it because I'm still in a very good mood, but yeah, it was a second string young team. Let's be honest, we got battered off. Blackpool never really looked like we were going to score, but just quickly, is a cup run something that you were never too set on anyway?
Yeah, never really set on a cup run, given how short our squad is for numbers, really. I think looking at the fan reaction of the game on Wednesday night, I think it went one of two ways. Obviously, the way that me and you were looking at it, thinking, well, we're never going to really go on a cup run given how short the squad is. But others that were actually at the game had said that it was just completely unacceptable, that we got completely played off the park. I don't think we had a shot on target, which is, it's poor, isn't it, really, if you look at that?
Yeah. But, well, as you say, obviously, there was a superb travelling set of Middlesbrough fans down there, and obviously they've made the trip during midweek. Of course, no one wants to see their team get beat 3-0 and outclassed really off Blackpool's. I think Warnock again said it was second string versus second string, and it just really went to show how poor our squad is at the moment. And obviously, he's mentioned that we want to add some bodies to that, but we'll quickly move on from Blackpool because yesterday is what we really want to talk about. Yeah,
of course.
So we covered the team lineup, but in terms of the occasion, I know obviously you did watch the game, but for me, it was just absolutely fantastic being back in the stadium. Just everything about the day. You know, I got there nice and early, just seeing everyone smiling, the weather, nice day. And yeah, got my cheeseburger from the van next to the stadium, which to be honest was very good. As good as it's been in a long time. So yeah, I'm not sure if they've updated the way they cook them or something like that. I'm not sure. But yeah, it was very good, Nathan, to be honest. Just quickly, actually, what is your match day go-to order?
Well, go-to order. I mean, I would say Parmo in a bun is a favourite of a lot of Boro fans, but I've heard that yesterday, as people entered the Riverside,
yes, I've seen this,
and went to the kiosks, Parmos in buns are no longer in the Riverside kiosks.
Yeah, well, do you know what? I am the type of person that does go to the van outside the ground. I don't know if I should say that, but quite frankly, the prices, I can't deal with them. I'm a student, Nathan. I can't be paying these big prices in the stadium. I'd rather, get a burger outside. But we're going off on a tangent already. But yeah, the hysteria of the game has already got to us. But yes, into the stadium after my cheeseburger, which went down a treat. Just walking up the steps, the grass. I could massively go off on some sort of spoken word here, but yeah, the grass just seemed greener than ever. The sun was beaten down. Just seeing fans, so many young, old, just smiling, ready for the game. It was just, this is before the game's even started, and it was just brilliant being back in my seat. Just seeing all of the old people that sit around me, and just especially after such a difficult 18 months or so, it was just lovely to see so many familiar faces and just check up on people that you perhaps wouldn't have spoken to if you didn't really go to the football.
Yeah, it's one of them, isn't it, where it's part of your ritual on a Saturday, and for home games you usually park in your same spot that you usually park in every week. You do the same walk to the ground. I usually walk through the Ayrsham gates as usually try and get a bit of luck.
Yeah.
It didn't really work in the last few years, but hey,
Yeah.
You walk up to your seat and see all the people that usually sit by you. Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, as you say, fantastic. That little bit of luck. Maybe the cheeseburger is the lucky charm, so I'll have to make sure I get them for the next home game. But yeah, just a quick little story that I was really laughing at yesterday, and it's quite a serious topic, really. But just the way that these two men made sort of light of it, and obviously these two men sitting in front of me, and I see them every time I go to the game, and as as one bloke's coming up now, I'm guessing that these men are just sort of friends from going to the Middlesbrough match and probably don't actually speak to each other when they're not at the football. and he walked up the stairs and literally said to the other bloke, "Oh, it's great to see you're still alive." And I just thought, I mean, it's lovely. It's a lovely moment, but yeah, it just really made me laugh.
Yeah, it's just one of them, isn't it? You don't know what's going to happen or what has happened in the past 18 months to those people.
If you're not in contact with these people when you're not at the football, then I guess he wouldn't have known any better. But yeah, just little things like that I was loving yesterday. But obviously going on to the game, Pig Bag is flying out of the speakers. Red Faction, a special mention to them again, absolutely smashed it out of the park with the big banner and the flags in the south stand. Just superb, really. The atmosphere was electric. The first 30 minutes probably weren't as electric in terms of the performance, but really it was about getting that opening goal, and the goal came courtesy of Middlesbrough's Ronaldinho, we're going to call him, Isaiah Jones, down that left flank again. Had his full back on toast, pulled the ball back, Jed Spence potentially could have scored, but it fell to the big man, and he did not make any mistakes in smashing the ball home.
Yeah, I mean, Uche, special shout out to Big Uche. I thought he was fantastic in that first half yesterday. His hold-up play is everything that Britta Sombolonga wasn't, really. I think Uche, as a physical presence, is probably one of the scariest strikers in the division. I mean, what an absolute behemoth of a man. He's huge.
He's a beast, isn't he?
He's absolutely massive. But yeah, I mean, Jones, yeah, absolutely ripped his fullback all over, twisting him inside and out, put a beautiful ball along the 6-yard box. It was good to see Spence driving inside and trying to get along the front post, something that I haven't seen from a lot of Boro attackers in recent years, getting along that front post and trying to make themselves a nuisance. Of course, it took a little bit of a nick. And Uche coming in towards the back post, fired it in. Brilliant.
Yeah. And what a celebration. The big man wheeled away straight over at the West Stand. And I'm sure he was savouring every moment of that celebration. You know, that little moment, we put it out on Twitter a day of him and Sol Bamba embracing each other. It was just, I keep on using the word special, but it was just lovely to see.
Yeah, I think going over to Bamba as well just shows what a big part that Bamba already plays in that dressing room. I mean, Warnock's spoken about Bamba being a leader, and of course he's captained several different clubs that he's been at. So yeah, I mean, I think Bamba will be a pivotal part of that squad, despite not playing a massive role on the pitch.
Yeah. And obviously moving into the second half, it was a pretty comfortable game for us. In large spells, we controlled the game and never really looked like conceding. And that was up until our favourite man, we mentioned him last week, Natty Wells, come on the pitch and started causing us a little problem. And it was, for me, probably an unnecessary foul. It was Grant Hall that brung, I think it was Wells down. It may have been Vyman, but it was Grant Hall anyway that sort of needlessly brung him down. The ball looked like it was going to go out of play. And from the resultant free kick, Andy King heads home and sort of silences the Riverside, really. The only silence that it was all day. But yeah, a disappointing goal to concede.
Yeah, I think going into that, I think we missed quite a big chance. Jones went down the left and put it on Uche's head, and it kind of ballooned over the bar. When I think,
yeah, you're right.
He probably should have finished it. And when I was watching it and seeing that he missed that chance, I thought, you just know what's going to come. I just knew an equaliser was coming after that. I thought, we've missed such a big chance there to almost give us that cushion. And yeah, I mean, we looked at it and saw Grant Hall's foul, and we thought, it's just petulant. You don't need to do it. You just don't need to kick him there. And yeah, of course, Uche lost his marker, and King headed into it. Almost an open goal, really, wasn't it, for him?
Yeah, it was pretty much, as you say, an empty net. But to be honest, I think from that point, and credit's got to go to the stadium and the fans in there again, as soon as the goal went in, it was almost a sort of everyone just pulled together straight away and thought, they're not going to ruin our day. There was a big roar of encouragement. And from that point onwards, it just seemed like almost the fans were ready to suck the ball home into the net and just get that all important goal to make it 2-1. And that came from Bristol City's point of view, probably a needless free kick to give away out on the left, which Paddy McNair delivered, and the big man got on the end of it, flicks it on. An absolute thorn in the Bristol City defender's side all day, flicks it on from Paddy McNair, and Matt Crooks makes that run and sticks the ball in the back of the net. And again, it was just brilliant to see that celebration again.
Yeah, I think conceding that goal and the fans roaring that on, sometimes the team needs that kick up the backside to kind of get the almost like just a haze over the players' eyes. Sometimes when the game's going on, I think being 1-0 up, you can almost just let the game fade out and sometimes just think, well, we're 1-0 up, we don't need to really do all that much, just defend. And of course, yeah, the fans roared us on there, and Crooks sliding in, brilliant finish from him as well. Yeah, the Riverside sounded absolutely electric on my iFollow.
No, trust me, Nathan. I know you would have wanted to be there more than anyone, but yeah, I can definitely vouch that the stadium was absolutely rocking, and it was just fantastic. The noise, seeing the celebration, and obviously we clung on to the 3 points. And Bristol City, I think Matty James had one volley that looked like it could have potentially gone in from an equaliser, but he made a mess of that, and we clung on for the 3 points. And just on the goal scorer there, Matt Crooks, I tweeted last night, I don't know if you saw it. It got quite a good reaction, actually. I thought it might have got some pelters, to be honest. But yeah, I said that I think Matt Crooks, and it might have been off the back of that win and the whole jubilation of just being back in the stadium that's gone to my head. But I said that Matt Crooks has George Friend potential. And what I mean by that is, obviously, we haven't paid, it's a larger fee than George Friend, obviously, but we haven't paid an awful lot of money for him and picked him up from a relegated side. But just yesterday, I thought the position that he played in, and obviously we mentioned last week in the Fulham game that he sort of played off the right. But yesterday, he played in the hole, in the position that all of us really expected him to. And everything about his performance, I loved. I loved the little bits of shit housery. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You know, we've got the settings on no swearing on podcast on our podcast provider. So yeah, we'll not risk it. But yeah, everyone knows what I mean by that. Yeah, just kicking the ball away and just making himself a nuisance. And he even went up front again for the final 10 to 15 minutes and just never gave anything up all day. And it was more than that, his performance. He showed real glimpses of quality with his footwork and his passing. And one thing I just really thought about him was he almost gave me a feeling of he's just I'm lost for words, Nathan. No, he gave me that same feeling, and this might not make sense to a lot of people, but that same feeling is what Stuani used to give me, where he's just in the right position at the right time, and I think he will score a lot of goals this season, just purely off gambling, off flick-ons, and just making them late runs into the box. And personally, I was really pleased with Crooks yesterday.
Yeah, I think he's exactly what you've just said there. He's got fancy footwork it's one of them where it's that old cliche. He's got good feet for a big lad, doesn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, He's fantastic on the ball. He makes some very clever runs into places that you haven't seen a lot of Boro players pick up, role positions where he usually picks up. I think he's good at drifting wide. He always seemed yesterday to come over to the left and support Jones with runs around the outside of Jones and provide some good support play for Uche as well. And yeah, for the goal, fantastic. Just taking gambles. I said to my dad, who I watched the game with yesterday, we don't have players that would usually gamble. So Crooks coming in there, flying in after a flick on from Uche, was just brilliant to see. He looks like a fantastic signing for us.
Yeah, and obviously we don't want to get too carried away and, you know, make a massive misjudgment, but you have to forgive us. It was first time back in the stadium for some yesterday, and they're still very, very excited by the whole prospect of it. But no, I thought to myself yesterday that perhaps Crooks is really what a lot of fans thought we were signing when we signed George Saville. And Saville had that similar reputation of someone that was going to make late runs into the box and score a lot of goals from midfield. And I got that from Crooks yesterday, and obviously it never quite worked out that way for Saville, but the signs are all there for Crooks to really go and massively help the strikers this season.
Yeah, I think you're right with the Saville reference there. Of course, at Millwall in the season prior to us signing him, I think he hit double figures for goals, I want to say. And he took a lot of set pieces for Millwall, actually, as well. But yeah, Crooks, of course, last week off the right, yesterday in the 10, as we thought he would be coming into playing, he was fantastic. I mean, I can't even find words to describe his performance yesterday. It's something that I haven't seen from a Boro player in a long time. Someone who's willing to get hold of the ball and get forward and try and make things happen for us.
Yeah, and just on other good performances, I don't think there was anyone really on the pitch yesterday that anyone could have argued had a bad game or an average game. I think everyone contributed very well, obviously some more so than others, but just on Anthony Dijksteel, I just quickly wanted to mention as well, we spoke about him last week in that 5 at the back formation, and yesterday for me it seemed like more of a 4 at the back, and it was just so apparent to me how good Anthony Dijksteel is.
Yeah, I mean, we said last week he looks so much better in a 4, doesn't he, really? And of course, I think Spence provided him some support on that right-hand side yesterday as well. Honest, really, I haven't been Jed Spencer's biggest fan in recent years, but yesterday I thought he had one of his better games for us, really. He provided us with some good width on the wing. He was looking to try and get at his fullback. And of course, I saw him on multiple occasions yesterday look to burst through the centre of the pitch rather than going out wide. And that burst through the centre of the pitch causes carnage for defenders because, of course, Uche is in there as well. And with Jones going down one side and obviously runners from midfield also, it's just a complete mess for defenders on who to pick up. So, yeah, shout out to Jed Spencer yesterday. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and in Warnock's post-match press conference, he said that over the past week, he'd pulled Jed Spence to one side and pretty much had a word with him. And without saying what he actually said, pretty much it sounded to me as though he said, listen, you've got all the potential in the world and I believe in you, but we need to see more from you, really, and we need to see a better attitude. And Warnock said that already this week in training, he's been the first one out there. He's been so enthusiastic. And as you say, his performance yesterday, I think playing in that more advanced role on the right, obviously the end product will come, but there was definitely more encouraging signs there yesterday.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with Spence playing that right wing role in a 3 up front with Uche and whoever starts on the left, whether it be Jones, Watmore, Tavernier, any of those 3, I think Spence on that right, he doesn't have the defensive duties that he'd have at a wing back role or in a 4 in defence right back.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think without the defensive duties that he'd have also with the responsibility of trying to get forward and beat a fullback, I think he's going to be some player for us if he stays in that role along a 4-3-3.
Yes, Nathan, obviously Spence played in that front 3 role yesterday, and that seems to be the area where we're most looking to improve at the moment. Yesterday in his post-match press conference, Neil again providing the absolute Twitter gold with his little story about the European target that he's been texting earlier. He'd been texting earlier in the day and got his text to say, "Good luck, mister." Now, that really gives us no indication as to who it may be, but it's a target from Europe, and we have no names. There's been no names linked, but have you any idea who this might be? Have you thought about it?
I mean, we've seen a few strikers linked in the last few weeks. I don't think it's going to be Bupenza, the YouTube mystery,
the YouTube sensation,
the YouTube sensation with the Turkish commentators screaming his name in absolute Bupenza. But yeah, it doesn't look like it'll be him, as he's off to Qatar apparently. So yeah, I don't know, but it certainly sounds like a European striker with no sense of English after saying Mr.
to Mr. a roughly translated broken English text for Warnock. We're seeing absolute Twitter gold again, and I know how much you wanted to talk about again. Warnock just providing content, mainly for our Twitter, to be honest, but just that moment at the end of the game yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, he's just fantastic, isn't he? Walking around on the pitch at full time, serenading the fans. I mean, what a man. The video on Boro's Twitter there of him fist pumping the South Stand. Him and Leo doing that when we get promoted in May is going to be fantastic to see.
Are you already making that? You're already making that claim now, are you?
Yeah, I mean, if we don't make the claim now, then no one else will.
If we can't get carried away after yesterday, we'll never get carried away. Yeah, we'll go with. So just moving on transfers. It was reported late last week and a lot today and yesterday that we are set to sign Toyosi Olisanya. I hope I've got that right. The Billericay Town winger. Now, this, to me and a lot of fans, already feels a little bit like Isaiah Jones and Sam Folarin. He has fallen down the leagues and ended up playing in non-league, and then obviously received a lot of praise for his performances at that level. And the club are willing to take a gamble on him, really.
Yeah, I think we've had a few players, of course, Jones and Folarin, have sort of come through with development from the under-23s. But Olisanya is 23, so it seems like he's a bit further on in his development than Jones and Folarin and others. Of course, Lewis Wing that we've picked up from non-league.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see what he's all about, really. He's been at Wimbledon in the past, which, of course, I don't know if he was there when they were in League Two, but they're now in League One. So that it'd be interesting to see how and why he made appearances at Wimbledon and why he's so slowly fallen down the divisions.
Yeah, and I was reading this morning, just having a look and reading up on him, that he actually had trials at Chelsea in 2017. So, I mean, it is a little bit of a strange sort of career path that he seems to have had. As you say, I think he played in the Football League for AFC Wimbledon. And obviously, you know, you've got to be a good player to get a trial at Chelsea, certainly. So, yeah, he's obviously shown a lot of promise. And I think I've seen this morning as well that during last season, he'd scored back-to-back hat-tricks for Billericay in 2 games. So that's certainly going to get the attention of clubs in higher leagues. So, yeah, it looks like that one's done, and it'll definitely be interesting to see how he gets on.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know about the back-to-back hat-tricks, but yeah, that'll do. That'll certainly definitely do. We'll get him in.
Get him in for some back-to-back hat-tricks in our league, yeah. If you can do that, I'm sure he won't be with us very long. But yeah, Olisanya, great name, I must say. On another great name, Andras Sbora. Now, again, I'm really not confident with that name. But
yeah, we'll try not to butcher them.
Yeah, a Slovenian international that last week got linked. He is currently playing for Sporting Lisbon. And out of the strikers that we have been linked with, he seems to have the most promising goal record, really. Now, I can't say, honestly, that I've seen a lot of him. I can't say I know an awful lot about him. But is this the type of striker that potentially could be the mystery European man? Do you think he fits the description?
Possibly. I mean, he's at Sporting Lisbon now. Of course, Sporting Lisbon are a massive club, played in the Champions League in recent years. And obviously, they're always amongst the top sides in the Portuguese First Division. So, I mean, yeah, it fits the bill for what the Gazette had said about the mystery European striker.
Yeah. And another striker, also from a European club that has been linked. It looks as though that it is going to join Como in Seri B. We've been beaten. I don't know if the interest was real, but by reports, we've been beaten to a second division Italian club, which you can make of that what you will. But yeah, just on these types of links, especially this summer, I've noticed Alberto Seri, the 6'4" Cagliari striker. It seems like to me, and I could be miles off here, that Kieran Scott is already putting his ideas and his plans into place where, as we saw at Norwich, there is a sort of tactic of looking at damaged goods. And by that, I mean, Seri had a £7 million move to Juventus a few years ago, and obviously his goal scoring record, as was pointed out by a lot of people when the link come out, is not great. But, you know, players that have had difficulty for whatever reason after a big move or started off with a big potential and perhaps not fulfilled that. We saw it with Moritz Leitner at Norwich, who was at Borussia Dortmund and had a massive potential over there, and it didn't work out, and he was brought to Norwich. Do you think potentially that's a way that we're going to look to in this transfer window, but definitely moving forward with Kieran Scott?
Yeah, I think this is one of those where in recent years, our recruitment policy for strikers in particular has been picking out strikers that have performed well in the Championship in seasons past. Assombalonga's one who scored double figures in a few seasons at Forest, and then we pick him up for a massive fee. Doesn't really fit a system that we're trying to look at. And whilst still hitting double figures, doesn't really play the role that we all thought he was going to play. Same with Gusted. Gusted scores 20 goals at Blackburn and 6 in something like 4 years at Boro. Like
it seemed like longer than 4 years, didn't it?
Yeah, just signing players that don't fit systems, but had proven past in the division. So Seri, 6'4", seems like a striker that would fit into a Neil Warnock system, like that tall target man that you can play a pass up to, that you can play off with other attacking players around him. Of course, he hasn't got the best goal scoring record, but looking at Kieran Scott's past, Timu Pukki was definitely not prolific at any other club that he was at, barring Norwich City in the Championship in that first season that he came in and scored 31 goals or something like that for Norwich, which is outstanding. And of course, he did okay in the Premier League, scored 10 goals or something like that. And now, after being in the Championship again and finishing as Norwich's top scorer once again, they're back in the Premier League. So, yeah, it's one of those where I think we're trying to identify signings that fit a system that we want to play rather than just looking at numbers of seasons gone past and trying to almost replicate them in the team that we have, despite it not necessarily fitting whoever's play style.
Yeah, and another link that is fresh from this morning. As I say, we are recording this on Sunday. Come out this morning from Sun journalist Alan Nixon that we have an interest in Swansea left back Jake Bidwell. Now, the fee mentioned in the article in the paper was 2.5 million, which we already think seems very high considering we currently have Mark Bowler. But since recording, we've also seen that the Swansea Independent are now saying that Swansea would perhaps accept a bid in the region of 450 to 500,000. Now, if that is the case, would you be a lot happier paying that fee for Jake Bidwell?
Yeah, I'd be all over that, really. I think Bidwell, championship experience is the words that come to my mind. I mean, he's been at Brentford, QPR, Swansea. He's been all around the championship in recent years. And last season in particular, he thrived playing in a wing-back system at Swansea. He finished the season as the defender with the most assists. He had 9 assists come the end of last season as Swansea got beat in the playoff final by Brentford. So, yeah, I think as a backup, because I really like Bowler. I think Bowler getting in the way of his development is not what we want, really. I think Bidwell, if we get him in, he must be coming in as a backup.
Yeah, it would look that way, but definitely, as we saw with Darnell Fisher, now I know he's since been injured, but even when Dijksteel was having a great season last year and we brought in Fisher as a bit of competition, sometimes having that person that is behind you and waiting to take his chance is potentially could get even better performances from Bowler, and obviously that is an area that we need strengthening anyway.
Yeah, 100%. I think giving competition in pretty much every area of the pitch would be perfect for us, for the players that we've got so far in our squad to kick on and become even better players.
Yeah, certainly. And to be honest, I think we've covered really all the recent links on transfers now. It would be easy enough for us to sit and talk about all of these ridiculous rumours and translated articles and Facebook posts and things like that. But yeah, these are really all of the credible links, should we say, that have come out at the moment. So moving on from transfers, next up at the Riverside, QPR, Nathan will be back. He's finished his superstar holiday away to Portugal and is returning to Middlesbrough, which I'm sure you're excited about. QPR, for me, will be a tougher test than Bristol City. 1, Nathan, are you looking forward to the game? I'm sure you are. But 2, what type of test do you think QPR are going to give us?
I can't wait for the game, first off. Back in the Riverside for me, first time. I just can't wait to be back in my seat watching the Boro. But yeah, QPR, I think they'll certainly be a very difficult test for us. I think that they'll be right up there come the end of the season with the squad that they've got. They've started the season really well, I think. Got 4 points, which is the same as us, but they've played Millwall, who, of course, are a very tricky customer to come up against. And they played Hull away this weekend and just dismantled them, really, didn't they? 3-0. Looked pretty comfortable for QPR. And yeah, they'll certainly be coming to the Riverside and looking for all 3 points.
Yeah, and QPR as a team, they've got a lot of standout players. I've particularly liked the recruitment over the summer, and I think Mark Warburton's a very good manager as well. The man that really is QPR's danger man at the moment seems to be brother of Joe, who was just signed for Newcastle, Chris Willock. He's got 2 and 2, I believe. And yeah, he's playing in the role of Lyndon Dykes up top because Charlie Austin is currently out injured. I'm led to believe that he'll be out for Wednesday as well, but don't hold me to that. But yeah, Lyndon Dykes and Willock are proving a quite deadly partnership at the moment in the Championship.
Yeah, I think Dykes in particular caught my eye coming the end of last season. I think he hit maybe, I can't remember the exact figures, but he was on fire come the end of last season. And of course, he was Scotland's man up top with Ched Evans. Ched Evans? Not Ched Evans. Che Adams.
Che Adams.
Che Adams for Scotland at the Euros.
Different club, different nationality, but yeah.
Yeah.
Got there in the end.
Che Adams, yeah. So, Dykes, I think we were linked with him actually at one point in recent years. He was at Livingston and we were linked with
Lyndon Dykes, yeah.
Yeah, so another one that we missed. But anyway, yeah, they'll certainly look to cause us many problems. I think Dykes will be looking to play almost like a physical role up against Fry and Hall. I think that they'll know that Hall, his pace is a weakness, probably. They'll know that, considering he was captain there only 2 seasons ago. But yeah, I think that there'll be a big test for us this week.
Yeah. Well, as you say, we briefly mentioned it in the first episode of the season that QPR play as a back five, and potentially that will mean that we revert back to a back five. In terms of personnel, potentially it'll mean that Jed Spence will drop back into a wing back role. Would you be happy with seeing that? Obviously, I think in terms of the actual team yesterday, what is apparent with our team at the moment is it is quite flexible in terms of that Isaiah Jones and Spence can play in them wing back roles.
Yeah, I think they can, but whether we thrive with playing with Spence and Jones in that wing back role is something that remains to be seen at the moment.
Yeah, certainly. And moving on from QPR, obviously there will be a difficult test. A game that we will be hoping to pick up 3 points from next Saturday, Derby County away. The club that are currently in as much turmoil as anyone in the Football League really at the moment. I think they're struggling to get a team together, and yesterday it was yet another disaster for that club. They were leading up until I think it was 97 minutes and somehow managed to throw away a point. Honestly, I'd never thought I'd say this, but I quite sympathise with Derby fans at the moment because it's already a struggle not being able to sign players. But yeah, them 2 late goals yesterday must have broke a lot of Derby hearts.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those where Boro especially have quite a history with Derby in recent years, both usually around the top end of the Championship, usually have very good games up against each other. But yeah, I mean, I feel sorry for them in a way. They haven't got much to shout about at the moment, have they?
They really don't.
No. Tom Lawrence is now their captain. I still can't believe that he bagged a brace against us under Jonathan Woodgate almost a week after crashing his car.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think they're in a bit of disarray at the moment. Yesterday didn't go well for them at all. Their striker, Colin Kazim-Richards, was stretchered off, which doesn't look too good. And of course, they scored with 10 minutes to go, Derby, to go 1-0 up. And I thought, well, that would be a fantastic result for them, winning away at Peterborough. 91st minute, concede the equaliser. And 90 plus 11, they concede.
It really does just go from bad to worse. It is a head in hands moment for them Derby fans. It's not looking great for Mel Morris at the moment, and of course the Derby fans. Yeah, both of them are there's a strained relationship between the two of them at the moment. But we've had our pass with Derby, and it's never nice to see a football club being ran into the ground. But they are really struggling. One signing that they have been able to make this summer, ex-Middlesbrough star Ravel Morrison. Now he scored in the cup this week, but what do you think of Ravel Morrison? What did you think of his time here? And do you think he could be the man that manages to keep Derby up this season?
I think Ravel Morrison is just the definition of a signing that makes you think, wow, we really could be the side that finally unlocks his potential, gets his head down, and makes him the star that everyone at Manchester United, Sir Alex Ferguson, all thought that he was going to be. But it just never seems to happen, does it, with Ravel Morrison?
I know. Speaking personally, that I fell into that trap. Woody signed him at the back end of that horrible season that we just shouldn't talk about. But yeah, it was the January that we brought him in, wasn't it? And we thought, well, I thought, could we be that club? We've got such a history of turning goal scorers and brilliant players into people that can't score no longer. So could we have a bit of a reverse and revive someone's career? But it just wasn't to be the case. And yeah, he had a few substitute appearances here and there, never really hit the heights that probably Jonathan Woodgate thought he might. So yeah, Derby is struggling at the moment, and it's a game that I think Neil Warnock will definitely be hoping that he can, one, go there with some new players, but two, go there and try and get 3 points, really.
Yeah, I think we 100% need to be going into the week looking for 6 points. We're on the back of a good result this weekend, and I think we need to look to try and continue that. QPR will be a tough test, and I'm not going to underestimate Derby either, because I do think that these are the games where we all, as fans, go into them and think, easy 3 points, just walk in the park. But it's the games that, as a Boro fan, we go into thinking that, and we get turned over 3-0.
Yeah, it never seems to be the case. For me, obviously, you said 6 points. I think, obviously, everyone will be hoping for 6 points, but QPR are going to be a very difficult test. And I think potentially this season there could even be dark horses in terms of making a little run for the playoffs. So we can't underestimate QPR, and fingers crossed that, again, we can put up a solid home performance, and obviously the Riverside crowd will definitely help us. And with Derby, if we really want to be challenging and getting in those playoffs ourselves, I think it's a game that we'll have to win, to be honest.
Yeah, I think we have to go there and put up a good showing. I think Boro have been given 3,000 tickets, which is a big allocation, really. And we always travel in good numbers to Derby. So I think I'm going to try and get tickets next week to Derby. So yeah, I'll be there hopefully with the travelling Boro army.
Yeah, fingers crossed you'll be cheering us on Wednesday. You're no longer in Portugal. So yeah, that's something to look forward to. And as you say, in Derby will be followed again with a superb away following. So yeah, I think that pretty much wraps up another episode. We're making slow progress. I think for me that the episodes are going well, and yeah, everything's going well at the moment. And again, thanks for the kind comments and the nice tweets and things like that last week. But yeah, that's been your third episode of the Boropolis Podcast. Thanks again for listening. Make sure to tweet us, make sure to comment on YouTube, subscribe, all those nice things. And thanks again. And we'll see you next week for the 4th episode.